You know that feeling when you're reading something and you can just tell the author is being sarcastic, or maybe really sad, or super excited? Well, that hidden feeling, that's called tone. And today, we're going to decode those feelings and show you exactly how to read what's written between the lines.
All right, so where do we even begin with this? Well, it actually starts with something you already use every single day, your tone of voice. Take a look at these three little words. Seems simple enough, right? Pretty straightforward. But what happens when we say it out loud? Think about it. If you say it all excited, let's see Grandpa, it's a happy family visit. But what if you whisper it, all scared, let's see Grandpa? Suddenly it sounds like you're about to face a monster. Same words, totally different meaning. That feeling? That's the tone, and it changes everything. And that right there, that's the perfect bridge into the world of writing. Think about it. Your voice has pitch and volume to show how you feel. An author doesn't have that, right? So instead, they use their own set of tools, things like very specific word choices and the details they decide to share, to show you how they feel. It's basically their voice, just on the page.
Okay, lean in for this one, because this is probably the single most important thing you need to remember. If you forget everything else, just remember this. Tone words are feeling words. Seriously, burn that into your brain. When you're trying to figure out an author's tone, you are literally hunting for their feelings. So let's get the official definition down. Tone is the author's attitude, how they feel about what they're writing about. And this is a super important distinction, because it's not about how the writing makes you feel. That's a different concept. Right now, our job is to be detectives, figuring out what the author was feeling. Okay, so if we're detectives, we need a toolkit, right? How do we actually do this? Well, in this next part, we're going to build our official Super Sleuth toolkit for finding tone in literally any piece of writing. And here's the secret to using that toolkit. You have to learn to look past what the author is saying and start paying really close attention to how they're saying it. Every word, every detail they choose to include, it's a clue, a breadcrumb trail that leads right to their true feelings. So, we can break this whole detective process down into three pretty simple steps. First, we're going to look at their word choice. That's called diction. Second, we'll check out the specific details they decide to give us. And third, we'll look for any figurative language, stuff like metaphors and similes. Let's just quickly break those down. Diction is just a fancy term for the words the author picks. I mean, think about it. Saying someone slumped in a chair feels totally different from saying they sat in it, right? Details are just the little facts they throw in. And figurative language, that's when they make cool comparisons to paint a picture in your head. Honestly, you can think of these three things as the author's fingerprints, left all over the text. Okay, theory is great, but let's see this toolkit in action. We're going to put it to the test with a classic, an amazing passage from F. Scott Fitzgerald's The Great Gatsby. All right, here's the passage. As you look at it, really try to notice those powerful words and images. He says he's going to wed his unutterable visions to her perishable breath, and that she blossomed for him like a flower. Wow. Okay, let's pull out our toolkit and break this down. First, word choice. You've got words like unutterable visions and blossomed. That feels magical, almost divine. But then you get perishable breath. Oof. That hints at something fragile, something that won't last. And the figurative language is just off the charts. Blossomed like a flower. That's a huge, powerful romantic image. He's not just saying she's pretty. He's saying she's coming to life right in front of him. So what's the final verdict on the tone here? Well, based on all those clues, it's not just one simple feeling, is it? The tone is incredibly romantic, for sure. It's awestruck. But it's also got this hint of tragedy, right? That little word perishable tells us this perfect moment is doomed. See how those different feelings can all exist at once? All right, you've seen me do it. Now it's your turn to put on the detective hat. I'm going to give you a short passage, and I want you to use that three-step toolkit to figure out the tone. Okay, here's the text. Listen closely. The old house stood on a hill, its windows like vacant eyes staring out over the overgrown lawn. A chill wind rustled the dead leaves piled high on the porch. Inside, dust motes danced in the single shaft of light slicing through a cracked window pane, illuminating cobwebs draped like macabre decorations. The air was heavy, silent, and seemed to hold its breath. Okay, now's the time. Go ahead and pause right here. Give that passage another read. hunt for those clues, and try to answer the questions. We'll be right here when you get back to go over it.
All right, welcome back. How'd you do? The tone here is definitely eerie and somber, so let's talk about why. This is the fun part, the evidence. The author didn't just say the windows were empty, no, they were like vacant eyes. Super creepy. The leaves weren't just piled up, they were dead. And the cobwebs? They weren't just cobwebs, they were macabre decorations. Every single one of those word choices was deliberate, all designed to make you feel unsettled, maybe a little sad, in other words, eerie and somber.
So, we've figured out what tone is, and we've even practiced finding it. But you might be wondering, why does this even matter? Well, let's wrap this up by talking about the so what. Why mastering tone can literally change the way you see everything you read.
Okay, so let's do a quick recap of the big picture. Tone, it's the author's feeling. How do we find it? We look at their word choice, the details, and the figurative language. And why does it matter? Because once you understand tone, you unlock a whole new layer of meaning. You can start to see the author's true perspective, maybe even their biases. You get the real message hiding between the lines.
And that brings us right back to where we started, to that one core idea. Finding the tone is all about finding the author's feelings. It doesn't matter if they're happy, sad, angry, or something in between, the clues are always there in the language they use. So say it with me one last time. Tone words are feeling words.
So, I want to leave you with a final question to chew on. Think about a book, or an article, or even a poem you've read, where the author's tone, their pure joy or their anger or deep sadness really hit you. Now that you've got the toolkit, why not go back and see if you can figure out exactly how they pulled it off? Thanks so much for joining me.